Today, I'm gonna answer one of the most common questions I get from people who ask me how to start an e-commerce business or a print-on-demand business specifically, which is how much will it cost to start a print-on-demand business here in the Philippines or a clothing business here in the Philippines? In order to answer this question, I kind of approached it with how much do I think I need to spend to give me a relatively high percent chance of success, but still keeping that cost to a minimum, if that makes sense. I divided the cost into 4 or 5 main sections, which is marketing, your creative assets, your business registration, your inventory, and then your operations. Let's start with the print-on-demand option of starting your own clothing business. So if you were to start your clothing business using print-on-demand as your supply chain, your business, your main business model, the first thing that you'll have to buy is the domain. So what is a domain? So this is your .com. So for example, one of the brands I created is called Dead Kings Club. I used this as an example before. I had to buy a domain. The deadkingsclub.com, that is my domain. You can buy this through websites like Namecheap or GoDaddy. These are usually the cheapest or best options. You pay this on a yearly basis. On average, the cost of a domain is around 1,500 for the entire year. Relatively cheap. It can go cheaper than this depending on the domain name that you want. The next thing that you'll have to spend on is, of course, your website. And of course, I have to recommend Shopify here. Not because I'm getting paid by Shopify or anything, but it's just that their infrastructure and kind of the apps on Shopify make everything so much easier. They integrate with all major payment options. They integrate with Facebook, and they integrate with basically everything that you'll need to start your own e-commerce business. So Shopify, yung monthly niyan, it's about $25 per month. Pero they do have a promo that you're able to start with just $1 per month for 3 months, which is honestly such a steal. Mas makakatipid ka ba mas lalo? After paying for your Shopify website, next comes your ads, your paid ads on Facebook, Instagram. I honestly believe is crucial if you really want to have a strong chance or a relatively high chance of success. You need to spend on paid ads. I put 10,000 here for the entire month. I honestly believe that gives you the most room to kind of test strategies, test designs on what will work. This is specifically for print on demand at least. Now, next is your creative assets. So your logo, your brand posts, your t-shirt designs. For the logo, honestly, for your creative assets, you really have 2 strategies that you can go. The first one being the DIY approach or the do-it-yourself approach. With this approach, you'd utilize AI to help you create logos, brand posts, t-shirt designs, etc., etc. And the second approach is getting somebody else to do it for you. So a graphic designer, paying them to create your logo, your social media posts, your t-shirt designs. Of course, the DIY approach is going to be way cheaper versus trying to get that made by a third party or a graphic designer. Here, I put the cost for the logo from 1,000 to 3,000 pesos. 1,000 being if you use AI, basically tools like logo.com, brandmark.io. These are the tools that I would recommend. Now, if you're going to go to the graphic designer path, I would recommend using the platform Fiverr. This is one of the easiest ways to find somebody to create designs for you. Other options would be local Facebook groups to find a local graphic designer. For your brand posts, so these are your social media posts, the images on your website, etc., etc. The tools, if you were to do the DIY approach, the tools that I can recommend here are going to be Canva and Kittle. These are basically design softwares that make things so much easier. For AI image generators, I would recommend Sora or Midjourney. There's also Leonardo. Canva actually has a AI generator built in. You have a bunch of different tools, but these are what I would recommend. And again, if you were going to go through the path of hiring a graphic designer, that would be you'd find them again on Fiverr or your local Facebook groups is basically the easiest way to source these service providers. Brand posts, if you were using AI, all these tools you probably spend around 2,000. That's just for the fee, the monthly price, a combination of Canva, Kittle, Sora, or Canva, Sora, Midjourney, around 2,000 for a month. And then if you were to get somebody on Fiverr to do it, then you would need to spend a little bit higher, which are around 9,000 pesos. For your t-shirt designs, which is basically the main product that you're selling for a clothing business, no? Again, you still have the same options of doing it yourself or getting a graphic designer to make it for you. Same tools, Canva, Kittle, Sora, Midjourney. Another thing that you can do when it comes to your t-shirt designs, you can also actually buy designs outright and just have the seller change the text to your name. Some places, of course, that's going to be Facebook groups, FB groups, and another underutilized tool is going to be Creative Market. So this is a website where you can buy assets. Basically check these out to find really good designs. Next is, of course, your business registration. Not as intimidating as people usually believe. It's actually a lot easier now, especially with the new laws, ease of doing business law. Most of the business registration, you could actually do it online. And if you're gonna do it yourself, it's gonna be a lot cheaper. Pero I would recommend just getting somebody to do it for you, just so mawala na yung headache na yun. If you were to get somebody else to do it, the cost of that would be around 10,000. Everything I've said so far, same lang actually in cost if you were gonna go through the print-on-demand route and if you were gonna go through the traditional manufacturing route. Now, the biggest difference here is, of course, going going to be in the inventory and the operational costs of running your clothing business. If you were to go using the print-on-demand business model, of course, through a provider like Merch On Demand or MOD, Mod Factory, which is, full disclosure, that's my business, my company. The lowest membership fee that we offer is 7,000 for 6 months. This allows you to test an unlimited number of designs and only pay for the things that people have already bought. Unlike in the traditional space where you would need to hit the minimum order quantities of the manufacturer in order to get started. So for example, you wanted to get 5 designs made, which I do not super recommend. I honestly recommend at least 20 to 30 designs. I believe 20 to 30 designs gives you the best chance of succeeding in this type of business. No? Just to keep it simple, let's say you have 5 designs with a minimum order quantity of 30 pieces each, and each is going to be 300 pesos. You'd have to spend 45,000 pesos just to get started, and these are only 5 designs versus the unlimited designs that you can do with print on demand. This is actually where these business models start to part, because with the traditional approach, you're not sure if people are gonna buy your 5 designs. What if they don't like it? You can't just launch another set of designs because you need to spend another 45,000. Unlike print on demand, if your first sets of designs doesn't work, just keep making more designs. It's easy as that. Another cost that people don't see when trying to start up their own clothing business or basically any e-commerce business is the cost for fulfillment, or the cost of getting that item packed and handed over to your logistics provider. Let me explain a bit what I mean by fulfillment and operations. No, basically this means this is the act of getting your product ready to be shipped to the end customer. The folding of the item, the packing, putting it inside a courier pouch, adding the airway bill sticker. So if you've ever bought anything online, of course, makita mo iba yung packaging, may sticker on it that contains the details, your address, your number, the product, etc., etc. If you were to start with a traditional approach, of course, you need to buy a waybill printer, you need to buy your waybill rolls, you need to buy your packaging, you need to buy your courier pouches, which all costs money. Based on my estimates, you'd spend around 6,000 pesos just to set this up, but this does not include the cost of your time to actually go out and pack these things, hand it over to the courier. So it doesn't include that. A lot of people fail to see this as a cost, but you have to remember that time is money. Your time is valuable. I mean, that's the whole reason why you start business in the first place, to have control over your own time. But if you're doing the packing yourself, are you really parang owning your time? I don't think so. Because when somebody orders, you have to pack it immediately. You can make them wait, but the customer experience obviously goes down. Overall, if you wanted to have a relatively high chance of success, you would spend around 35,000 for 1 month to get everything set up, and for 1 month of operations for a print-on-demand store at the low end, and 50,000 on the higher end. For the traditional naman, at the lower end, it's around 79,000, and on the higher end, it's around 95,000. You have to also remember the intangibles here. Na pag sa print-on-demand, the fulfillment is handled by the print-on-demand provider. You have an unlimited number of designs, versus a traditional, your designs are limited with the amount of capital that you're willing to spend, and at the same time, you have to do your fulfillment yourself. Honestly, for me, it's a bit of a no-brainer to just do print on demand, but of course, I'm gonna be a bit biased considering that I do run a print on demand company. That's basically it. I'll put the link to this e-commerce brand startup costing guide in the description. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment. I'll try to answer them the best that I can.